Good evening and welcome to the West Ham Network. I am Alex and I am so sorry I am late today. I have been having some microphone issues. Do not ask. It's been a little bit of a nightmare. I had to reset the computer. Anyway, the soap drama, it continues at West Ham United, doesn't it? I mean, it just never ends, does it? And there's always something at West Ham United, always has been, always will be, and there's a lot to talk about. So let's get on with it. Anyway, welcome back. Hello. So, not been the greatest weekend, was it? I mean, we go to Tottenham, we get absolutely humiliated. We don't like doing that, but it's been such a frustrating start to the season, hasn't it? And there are obviously quite a lot of issues that we are having at the moment, not only on the pitch, but behind the scenes as well. I mean, obviously, there's some players having some issues. The players that have come in, some are, struggling to gel as a team, and midfield looks completely and utterly useless in a lot of games. But in some others, it looks quite decent. We've got players underperforming, players who are not particularly happy. You've got drama behind the scenes where people are apparently trying to undermine the manager. We're already being linked with new managers to replace Lopetegui already, and it's only 10 games into the season. I mean, the drama just never stops at West Ham, does it? It just never ever stops. And what can we do? What can we do? We just got to, take the ride and hope it gets a little bit better. We can talk about it. We can have a little bit of a moan. We can complain, but ultimately, we have very little control over what happens at West Ham United, as we usually do. But so, as I say, I'm sorry that I'm late. There's been loads of comments already. Randy, obviously you've had quite a bit to say. We'll have a little read through what you've been saying already. Troy, how you doing? Nice to see you. Randy in there as well. James, good to see you there. Okay, right. So it's been a fair amount. We've got to be careful what you wish for, FC. It sounds like that's an account that's been that's been created just for that purpose. Just for that purpose. Usual suspect. Madrid down 2-0 and finish winning there, finish 5-2. Yeah, do you know what? Because I've been having all these issues, I haven't had any chance to watch any Champions League football tonight, which is really annoying. Mark, how you doing? And as per usual, Randy comes in and stick some comments up. So we're gonna start off there, and then we kind of we'll go into discussions about some other bits. And so Randy, you're right, Alex. How you doing? I remember saying to you a few weeks back that my concern this season was if Lopetegui was the right choice, because what we were seeing just proves South African club chose the wrong man. Yeah, I mean this is one of the questions that's going on at the moment. Is Lopetegui the right choice, the right man to come in? Obviously, we're not too sure, are we? It's not looking great at the moment, but that still doesn't mean that he can't work out. It does not mean that at all. So there still is some hope. There still is some hope, even though it has been a little bit of a frustrating start. What's going on with my lights? Sorry, my light there was started to flicker a little bit. Anyway. The main gripe I had with Lopetegui was not choosing that best 11, and that gives us the best opportunity to get positive results. And he has not tactically set us properly, which keeps fixing his wrongs. He doesn't seem to set us up right, and relies on changes through the game to try and get it right eventually. Which, you're right, is not technically like the best way to go. I 100% agree there, but. Sorry. Right, you stay there. Brilliant. I've provided a little bit better light, hasn't it? It has. That's why a bit more bit better like that. I like that. Right. We'll continue with Randy. A couple more comments. Everyone at the club has to take responsibility for this mess. Sullivan must own up to his mistake and allow Side to choose the next coach. If this does not turn around, then Loppy has to go. Okay, well, yeah. Lastly, I wanted to prove wrong, but Lopetegui issues have brought to your attention. Playing the best 11 in national positions, having the right tactics set up, and constant subs to fix his own errors. Okay, so yeah, at the moment, Lopetegui seems to definitely be struggling. I mean, there's no skirting around that issue. He's struggling to find the right 11. He's struggling to get the best out of some of these players. He's struggling to communicate his message, if he does have a message, if he does have a plan. Is he struggling to communicate over to the players, or the players understanding what he's saying but are struggling to implement what he wants them to do? I mean, we know that there is a big adjustment between the way some of these players have been playing and the way that we believe that Lopetegui wants to play. Also, when you've got underperforming players like Lucas Paquetá, you've got players coming in like Rodriguez in that midfield as well. You've got Thomas Soucek, who can be brilliant but can also go missing a lot of the time. You know, there's a lot more to it than just to look at the manager and say, right, here's the issue. Because a lot of the issues that we had last season. We're conceding goals still. A lot of goals. We were conceding a lot of goals last season. There's a lack of leadership in the team. We had a lack of leadership last season. Players underperforming like Paquetá and things like that. Yet in injury, not having a recognised striker who can go out there and score us like 10, 15 goals in a season. We had Bowen who could do that last season. So far, he hasn't been doing it. So there was a lot of issues last season that have transferred over to this season, and they haven't really kind of been addressed properly yet. It doesn't mean that they can't be, and it doesn't mean that some of the things that we want to do can't be fixed. So I'm still hopeful that things can change. But the issue is at the moment is, if we do move on Lopetegui, who is going to come in to replace him? Because as Randy pointed out there, Lopetegui was probably the cheaper option. Right? We were looking at Almiron, and that was going to be an all-round like £20 million package to bring him in. And it looks like that we decided against it. Maybe Almiron wasn't overly keen on coming to West Ham United. I don't know. But it does always look like that David Sullivan does want to go down the road of not paying out a huge amount of money for a manager, which is one of the reasons why we probably ended up with Lopetegui in the first place. Now, I've always said about Lopetegui that I did not think he was the right man to come into West Ham United, but when he did, I would give him a fair chance, and I still stand by that now. I still think he needs to be given a fair chance, and I think the West Ham board are going to give him a chance. So I do think he's going to be at the club till at least Christmas, and hopefully that is enough time for him to turn things around. Hopefully he is. But as I say, there's a lot of issues that he does need to address. I did a video over on the West Ham Network Extra page yesterday talking about the 5 big problems that we have at the moment. You know, the midfield being one of them, the leadership being another, goalkeeper. Areola has been underperforming so far this season, and it does start to raise the questions. You know, we were conceding a lot of goals last season, and we were putting a lot of it down to the really, really poor defence that we had. But was that the whole issue? Was that the whole issue? Areola is a good a good shot stopper, but his distribution is poor. His positioning is not always brilliant, and his communication lacks. So, is Areola the best choice to be our number one goalkeeper? Do we have to? Do we choose to bring Fabianski back into the side? 39 now, is getting on a little bit. You know, that's another question that Lopetegui has obviously got to ask. I've got off the field problems as well. Obviously, everything that's going on with Paquetá at the moment. Released a statement last week talking about misinformation and not being able to get a fair hearing, and still claiming his innocence, but he's afraid that he's not going to get a fair chance to defend himself. You know, saying that, you know, these things are obviously impacting his personal life, and they are worrying him. And I think it's very clear now it's impacting his performances on the pitch, because we haven't been seeing the best from him for a very, very long time now. And you got Mohamed Kudus as well, who did kind of completely lose it at the weekend. You know, I mean, it was amusing to watch, don't get me wrong, seeing Mickey van der Ven get a little kick and then get pushed in the face, seeing him fall over like a sack of potatoes, and then 5 seconds after, like, getting up and complaining to the ref. He didn't need to go down in the first place. Like, bloody overreaction that was. Seeing Richarlison get a little headbutt, though, was quite amusing, even if it was completely unintentional. I mean, you do enjoy that. But then, yeah, Kudus continuing to go on to push Sarr in the face as well. You know, that was him, his anger coming out. You know, whatever is bugging him, boiling over, and now we're going to miss him for at least 3 games. He's been charged by the FA today, so it's likely that he's going to get a longer ban at some point, which could be 4, 5, 6, maybe more games. We don't know at the moment. We're just going to have to wait and see. So obviously, I think there's something going on with him, because he wasn't particularly happy a couple of weeks ago. In the Brentford game, when he got substituted at half time. At the time, we just kind of put it down to the fact that he wasn't happy at being substituted at half time, but he hasn't been the same this season. So when you've got 2 of your best players who are not performing at the best of their ability, that's going to impact performances on the pitch as well. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of issues right now, and given all the change and all the new players that have come in, it's obviously taking longer to adjust, longer for these players to gel into a solid team. Maybe we don't know the right starting 11 yet, the correct starting 11, but we got to stick with it at the moment. We got to stick with it, and they're going to stick with it, and we've just got to try and support the team going forward. And we've got Manchester United this weekend. Are we going to get a result there? I do not know. Anyway, so I mean, that's the, you know, kind of like where we stand at the moment. The continuing soap opera at West Ham United. Obviously, the ex-Dortmund manager is kind of like being linked with us at the moment, who was assistant manager under Slaven Bilic. But you know, I was talking to a couple of guys on the West Ham Network WhatsApp chat, and he was a manager that the Dortmund fans weren't particularly happy with, even though he got into a Champions League final. They didn't want him there. It sounds very, very, very similar to the position West Ham United fans have been in the last couple of seasons. On paper, it was looking okay, but in reality, the football was poor. They weren't happy. So he is without a job at the moment. So, I mean, if Lopetegui does go, he will definitely be a name on the list. There are other managers which I shudder to think of. I say, this is what scares me. When we say Lopetegui out, this is what scares me, because we can end up with someone a lot worse. We're not going to go down the route. We're not going to go down the route of him again, right? We won't do that, because that will be embarrassing. But there could be other managers who are quite similar, who we have compared him to in the past, that I can imagine being linked. So, yeah. I think I saw that comment earlier, be careful what you wish for. Right now, that kind of, you know, does say something at the moment. Not so much with what happened last season, right? That was the right decision to move on Mr. Moisey. It's just whether or not the decision to bring in Lopetegui was the right one. That is still open. But, you know, right now, if we move him on, we definitely could end up with someone worse. We could definitely end up with someone that we really don't want. I mean, a lot of people really didn't want Lopetegui, but we got him. But we could end up with someone worse. We could end up with someone better. This is very true. But a lot of the time, if you want to end up with someone better, some money needs to be paid. And we've got an owner who's not particularly keen on doing that. And that's what concerns me. That's what concerns me. So I'm still happy to stick with Lopetegui for at least another 5 games. We've got Manchester United, then we've got Forest away, Everton at home, Newcastle away, then Arsenal at home in those next 5 games. And I think if we can pick up 6 to 7 points in those games, I think that's decent. That's okay. If we can see some better performances, that's decent. That's okay. And then after that, I think we've got, you know, a fairly decent run where we've got a lot of games which are, you know, winnable. I think there's a Leicester in there, there's Bournemouth in there. I think there's Brighton and Wolves. You know, we've got a lot of those games leading up to Christmas. This is why I say, like, he's going to be given to at least Christmas. And hopefully we can pick up some points and hopefully we can start moving up the table and we can start seeing some better performances. But yeah, what we saw at the weekend wasn't particularly good. It wasn't impressive. It was so frustrating. And I think it highlighted a lot of the big issues that we do have. The lack of, you know, pace and creativity in the midfield, then being caught out so much, then giving the ball away too much in our midfield. A lot of our issues do come from that midfield area, whether it is a lack of creativity or it is them making mistakes that leads to then giving the ball away to the opposition that gives them chances to score. That's where a lot of our problems are. And if that midfield gets sorted and that midfield is doing their job properly, I do think that the performance throughout the team, you know, will drastically improve. So getting that midfield right is absolutely essential. But how do we get it right? That is a question for Lopetegui, and that's the one that I think he needs to sort out. And if he can't sort that out, then no, I don't think he will last past Christmas. But I still think he's going to be given at least that amount of time at the moment. Anyway, let's move back into the comments. And the coaches are sort out clients. So yes, he is. Lopetegui is connected to Will Salthouse, which is yet again another issue. Anyway, let's go catch up on the comments. There we go. Soppy Loppy looks out of his depth and will be waiting to achieve. Our tactics performances are so bad, it's hard to see where any improvement is going to come from. The way I see it is that things can only get better. Technically, they can only get better, I guess. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, it's Watkins scoring. A forward for Villa? Who's that? I don't know who a forward for Villa is. We were never getting him, by the way. We're never going to get him. He's arrogant. So, Chris, get J-Lo out after Manchester United. He's an arrogant manager and lost the dressing room. I don't think he's as arrogant as the last manager we had. Personally, I don't think he is. Keep head coach until New Year if we're not playing well or higher in the league. Sack him. I mean, I think that's where we kind of sit at the moment. I don't know if I can last that long. I don't personally. I've always said 15 games, and we're on to 10 games now. So that is the next 5 games. We'll see how we do in the next 5 games. If I see some improvement, then yeah, he'll get a bye for me until Christmas, and then we'll see how we do by then. And I think if we start looking decent by Christmas, then I'll say, right, okay, well, we'll just keep until the end of the season. We'll stay in the Premier League, and we'll see how we do, and then we'll reassess it in the summer. But let's take it 5 games at a time at the moment. 5 games at a time, in my opinion, because you do never know. You do never know. It might work out. He may be able. Excuse me. He may be able to turn it around, and he may prove us all wrong. I mean, that is possible. It may not look likely at the moment, but it is possible. It is possible. And I'm a positive thinker, so I like to think that, you know, it's going to happen. I mean, I'm prepared. I've prepared myself for the fact that it won't, so I'm not going to be disappointed if it doesn't. Well, of course, I am going to be disappointed if, like, we're losing games, but I'm not going to be disappointed that, you know, that I was wrong and it didn't work out, because at the moment I'm preparing myself for that. No. If we get relegated, we will not come straight back. We're not getting relegated. That's just not happening. There are so many teams way worse than us in the Premier League. Like Ipswich, Southampton, Leicester maybe. At the moment, Wolves, Crystal Palace. Why are they not being talked about a hell of a lot more? You know? Wolves, Gary O'Neill, apparently much better manager than, you know, anything we could hope for. How's he doing at the moment? Oliver Glasner, revolutionary at Crystal Palace last season. Absolutely. What's going on? Not won a game yet this season. We're doing better than them. We're doing better than them at the moment, aren't we? We are. So, no, we're not getting relegated. That's not happening. That's not happening. Ivan Janovic is a good manager. Look at the magic he's doing at Greece and got his Cypriot team to another quarterfinal champion. I don't say that he's not a bad manager. But I think, as the point that was being made at the beginning, if there is a manager that has currently got a job, then compensation will be involved, and David Sullivan don't like that. So I don't really know too much about that manager, though, to be honest with you. What gives you hope that he can turn it around? Blind luck. What gives everyone hope that a new manager is going to come in and suddenly make it work? So I was having this discussion earlier. If we didn't bring in Lopetegui and we brought in a manager that majority of people were really happy with, like a young, energetic manager, someone that would come in through the doors, and they had exactly the same record, and it had turned out exactly the same way that it turned out right now. Right, things played out exactly the same way, but it was a manager that everybody wanted coming. Would everyone be saying that manager out now? Or would you be saying, no, we need to give him more time because it was a manager we want? Or is it because a lot of us were like, we really weren't too keen on Lopetegui to begin with? He's come in, he's got this record, and we're saying, no, we want Lopetegui out. Because I think that I keep on having to kind of convince myself that give him more time. Because I do feel like if it was a manager that I wanted in at this stage of the season, I would be saying pretty much what I'm saying now, give him more time. Because I feel like, I just feel like that there's a lot of people who very much against Lopetegui coming in and straight on the bandwagon as soon as it's not clicking straight away. And I just wonder if we had another manager in, a manager that everyone wanted, would the same people be saying the same things at the moment? I'm not convinced. I'm saying this for someone who didn't want Lopetegui in, who made several videos saying that Lopetegui is not the right man to come into West Ham United, and I was not pleased when he came in. I'm saying this because I'm not the kind of, I don't want to come out and say, oh, look, I told you that he wasn't the right choice. I want to be proven wrong. I want him to prove me wrong. So maybe it's that want to be proven wrong, that want for him to succeed is my hope, is what I'm using as evidence that he will turn it around. It may not work. I don't know. But I just feel like if it was a manager coming in that most people wanted, there wouldn't be so much there wouldn't be as much negativity towards the manager at the moment. I feel like a lot more people would give him a little bit more time if it was a manager coming in that we all wanted. I think that's got something to do with it, and because he's also a freebie, and it kind of just screams cheap Sullivan and things like that. I think all these things combined play into this at the moment. But if we paid like out for Almiron, let's say, and we got him in, and he had exactly the same record, would we be saying the same things now? I'm not convinced that most people would be, personally. So if I got slagged off, at least he's a warrior. He is a warrior. When Tim threw him under the bus, that was pure frustration. They never wanted him. He's 6 talks, man. Because he was cheaper than Takeover contract. He's not Premier League this season. He's poisoned. I don't think he's poisoned. I think West Ham always kind of like doomed to make the same mistakes over and over again, and we just got this little curse over us where just things just never seem to work out the way that we would absolutely love them to work out. And we've been completely spoiled over the last few seasons, and that's the best we're ever going to hope for. I don't want to believe that, but being a West Ham fan for so long, you just see these things happen. You get a little bit of promise, you get a little bit of hope, and then it all goes to shit. And I was kind of hoping that things were going to start to change now, because we are a club on the up. We got fairly rich owners now, things like the 8th rich owners in the Premier League. We're the 8th richest club in the Premier League, I believe. We've got the 3rd biggest stadium in the Premier League. Yeah, it may not be the perfect football stadium, but still it is the 3rd biggest stadium in the Premier League. We're in a position now where, we have, as fans, we have the right to dream and to demand more from the club, to say that, yeah, do you know what, we should be doing more than what we can, but we keep on being told that, we're a Temple club, we're just West Ham. Stop dreaming. You know who you are. Why should we settle for mediocrity? And I think this is one of the reasons that I definitely wanted, the old manager to go, because I don't think he ever saw us as anything more than just a mid-table club who had overachieved while he was there. And I didn't want that manager there. I wanted a manager who was ambitious, who thought, right, yeah, I can take it to the next level. I want people around him who think, yeah, we can take it to the next level. You want the technical director, you want the owner, you want everyone connected to the club to have that attitude to say, yes, we can achieve, we can push further, but I'm just not sure that we have that. I just don't know. And that is one of the reasons that I feel like we're always going to be just on the brink of taking that next step, but we never actually do. And it's because the club as the whole at the very top just hasn't got that same mentality. That it just feels like the mentality of the club at the moment is just money, 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 money. But unfortunately, that's with the majority of clubs now these days. Sorry, I kind of went off on one there, didn't I? Anyway, Randy, Premier League experienced managers do not always mean success. You can look at all the leagues and find the best coaches and fresh ideas. No, I mean, this is the point. Like we could have got in the manager that we all wanted, and they could have failed miserably. We could have got in. We could have got in a Premier League experienced manager, and they could have failed miserably. Or we could have got in a young, exciting manager, and they failed miserably. All these possibilities, like the Premier League is just such an unknown. How many Premier League managers can you actually say have come into a club at a level and really taken them to that next level? Pushed them up. I mean, you look at Emery at Aston Villa. That's what he's doing at the moment. That's what he's done. You can kind of say that about Arteta, because when Arteta came to Arsenal, they were not challenging for anything. They weren't a mid-table club. They were just on the brink of being able to challenge for those top honours, and Arteta has taken them back to that. How many other? I mean, Alex Ferguson did it back in the day. Arsene Wenger probably. You can say as well. Klopp came to Liverpool. They weren't in their best place, and he brought them back to winning their first Premier League title. Mourinho, I mean, how many other managers? Like you had Conte coming to Chelsea, not well. There's Boaz coming to Tottenham. There's been loads of different managers that have come in that you thought, right, that is amazing. Pochettino, never really achieved anything. Two different clubs, Chelsea and Tottenham. Big name. I want to say big names don't mean success. Experience doesn't mean success. Nothing means success. Right? There's no guarantees ever in the Premier League. It's just such a difficult league. Mark Ignax, I was thinking with some of the poor goals Xavi has conceded, makes me wonder if he fully recovered from the wrist injury he picks up next season. There's a possibility. I don't think his shot stopping has been terrible. I mean, there has been what was the chance that he kind of it was a chance, their first goal. He didn't quite get enough on it to nip it round the post. He got enough on it to hit it onto the post, and then it rolled in. So maybe he could have been a bit stronger there. But I do think he was at fault for at least a couple of goals. And his position is off. His distribution was terrible as well, though, wasn't it? Against Tottenham, absolutely shocking. Every time he would put the ball more than like 15 yards, it would go straight to a Tottenham player. It was the most frustrating thing I've seen this season. And that first half performance wasn't terrible. The second half performance was shocking, but the first half wasn't too bad. It seems like Loppe and Sully's choice and not Tim. If Loppe gets the boat, is Sully choosing our next manager? See, this is something else I talk about the drama behind the scenes, because you've got Tim Steidten at the moment who keeps on coming out making interviews. He's making himself very vocal. Um, he's always getting involved. He likes the attention. So I kind of feel like anything that he says, you kind of got to take with a little bit of pinch of salt sometimes. And I know there was reports out saying that Lopetegui wasn't a Tim Steidten choice, but then there was also, Steidten apparently come out and said, no, I chose him. We thought he was a good manager. We all agreed that he would be the right choice. So you don't know what's true, but it's just one of the dramas that keeps on going on behind the scenes at West Ham United, where you never really know what's going on. And Tim Steidten, as a technical director, is he brilliant? I think the jury is still out. He is definitely good at getting players through the door. Choosing the right players, though, yeah, jury is still a little bit out on that. I think with Todibo, really good choice, but you have to remember that Mavropanos was his choice, and I don't think he's been a bad signing. Obviously, the big one was Guilherme that he got through the door. We haven't really seen much of him. Maybe he's one for the future. Who else would you say that is a Steidten choice? I'm not sure. I mean, Wan-Bissaka, I think that would have been mutually agreed by everyone. Rodriguez screams Lopetegui choice. Sola, Lopetegui choice. Falkirk, Steidten choice. Too early to judge him, though. I still stand by that. It's way too early to judge the man. Didn't play a huge amount of games and then has been injured. Now, that's a problem right there. His injury, the fact that he is still out injured, but that was a Steidten choice. So I mean, we all hailed Steidten as the saviour, but is he also part of a problem? And we want to blame Sullivan all the time, and I mean the Lopetegui appointment does scream Sullivan because it's cheap and it was an easy deal to get done. Doesn't mean that Steidten didn't agree though, but that's where I get concerned about if Lopetegui does move on. Who are we going to get in? Is Steidten going to have a choice in the matter? Is Sullivan going to want to pay out money to bring someone in? We don't know. And so I don't think that putting full control to either one of them is the best thing right now, because I'm just not convinced by either of them. I'm not convinced by anyone at West Ham up the top, to be honest with you. Not at the moment. Time will tell, though. As I say, even though Tim has not been perfect, I'm still glad with most of the things he has done with the club. I just want to see him specifically pick the head coach to be able to judge him. Yeah. But I'm still not convinced by everything that he has done so far. No, you're not. We're going to catch up with the comments here, because I think there's been a few. Fair play to you, mate. Got the thumbnail for the show 100%. So that is all down to Russ. I provided Russ with the idea. He was the creative genius with that thumbnail. He was the creative genius, not myself. So I can't take any. I can take credit for like the idea of it, because it is a continued soap at West Ham United. Definitely is. But yeah, it's a gamble. It was a bit. I'll tell my checked. Oh man, be careful what you wish for, Sam. It's so outdated because fans wanted right change and they never asked for this. What we wanted. So yeah, so I mean that is also like, this is not what we wish for. So you can say be careful what you wished for, but so far it's not what we wished for. So we wish for something else. But I think that's part of it. You don't always get what you wish for. So be careful what you wish for, because, you may wish for something different, but it doesn't mean you're going to get it. And this is very true. But it's not what we wish for. Some people are saying that he is just the Spanish Moyes. I don't believe he is the Spanish Moyes. Personally, Lopetegui. I think there's a little bit more to him, but so far it's just not clicking. It's not clicking, is it? It's not clicking. But I'm still going to stick by it. Like you still might. It still might. It may take a little bit of time. Who is worse than Lopetegui? Avram Grant. 100%. Gareth Southgate. And I'll just leave that there. Let's not forget Moyes wanted to come to an end and it was the right decision. Lovely coming in is beginning to look like the wrong decision, but let's not hope it works out. That's a shame. Yeah, I mean, this is the point I've always made. Like, I have this argument so many times over on TikTok. So many people saying, you should sack Moyes. Why did you sack Moyes? You should never have got rid of him. We never sacked him. His contract came to an end. It was the right time to let him leave. It was the right time for him to move on. And if Lopetegui doesn't work out, the mistake was not moving Moyes on. The mistake was bringing in Lopetegui to replace him. That was the mistake. It was never a mistake moving David Moyes on. His time was done. And I do not believe that Moyes would be doing much better than Lopetegui is so far this season. Simply because I don't think that the recruitment would have been as drastic in the summer if he stayed on. And there was a lot of players not fit for purpose. Guarantee you, Zuma would still be starting at the back for us if Moyes was here. I guarantee that. I guarantee you of that. Because Lopetegui gave him a chance. He gave him a chance, and within a couple of games, he saw that he just wasn't good enough. And Moyes had been seeing that for the last year and a bit, and was still sticking with him. So yeah, it's just little things like that. Little things like that. So yeah, we've moved him on. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Then we'll just have to find someone else, and we'll have to try something a little bit different, a little bit new. But we'll have to wait. Kudus getting sick of being out of position, hence the blank fuse. Lop should be his brilliance, not to his diss. I get that, but against Tottenham, he wasn't really playing out on the left a huge amount. He kept on gravitating into the middle and coming out to the right a little bit. And he did get his goal coming in from the left. He's got a couple of goals coming in from the left, actually. So far, both of his goals have kind of come in from him coming in from the left. And he did have another opportunity as well. So, yeah, I mean, he probably is frustrated playing on that left-hand side. I think we're all frustrated at seeing him play on that left-hand side. I mean, there was a time, I think, when Bowen actually went out to the left and Kudus came onto the right in the first half against Tottenham. Didn't last long, but it did happen at some point. So I do think that Kudus was given a little bit more of a free role against Tottenham. I do. I think he was. So I'm not sure if that's everything. There's kind of rumours going around that he was hoping for a possible move in the summer and it didn't materialise, and he's frustrated. But he's also had some stuff going on with Ghana. I mean, I don't know if that last one is true. That is just like something I've heard someone say. Could be complete bull crap. Bull crap, it could be. But as I say, yeah, he's had some problems with Ghana as well. Ghanaian fans are not overly pleased with his performances for them so far. And yeah, some of them are really quite annoyed with him. I've seen some. I've got a lot of Ghanaian followers and on TikTok, and they've not been overly kind when talking about him recently. So maybe that's something that's bugging him. As I say, I think he's got some off the field problems at the moment. Because how can we spend 30 minutes at a striker or spend that much on a coach? I mean, this is a big question. I don't know why we weren't willing to pay out the money for Almiron. That's why I kind of say I think there was more to it. I don't think Almiron was convinced by the project, convinced about coming over. So I'm still not convinced he would have been the right choice either. You know, he could have failed just as miserably. Not that Lopetegui has failed yet. He hasn't failed yet, but he could have done. But yeah, other managers. Yeah, I do feel like we should be willing. If we're willing to pay out 20 million on a striker or a defender or a midfielder, and we should be willing to pay the same amount out to a coach as well. Lopetegui also took a favourable deal with West Ham. 2 seasons with an option for a third if he achieves European football. So Sullivan would have taken all that into account as well. Said, you know what, that's a good deal for the club. It's a good deal for me, because it'd be easy to get rid of him after a certain amount of time if we need to, without having to pay out too much. Where if you got Mandarin like Almin, he probably would have had a big compensation package if he didn't work out. So all these things are obviously taken into account, when deciding who's going to come in. I don't agree. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just trying to reason with it all right now. Nope. That would have cost us 60 plus. 60 plus. And it never would have happened before the first game of the season. And after the first game of the season, where he played and he scored, would have been even harder to get him done. I don't think we were ever getting him. I genuinely do not believe we were ever going to get him. So I don't think that was possible. Things can also get worse. Yeah, things can also get worse. Yeah, they named it. It was 35. We offered 35. Then it was 40. Then we paid 40. Then it was 43. So we offered 43. Then they said 45, and we said, for fuck's sake. If you were in that position, I think everyone would have ended up doing the same. When the goalpost keeps on getting moved, they just keep on increasing the price every single time. They're just like, no, we'll offer 45. Then they'll say 50. We'll offer 50. Then they'll say 55. And they'll just keep on doing it. And I think that was the situation at the time. Hi Alex, our last manager last stint first season literally had players speed running in training to bring pace, and you saw in that gameplay we are too slow at the moment. Literally, squads can't defend. Yeah, I mean when Moyes come in, he brought intensity into the side. Straight away, and that was one of the big differences from the Pellegrini era. Under Pellegrini, we weren't. We were putting in very lackluster performances, and then Moyes come in and introduced a little bit of energy. And players like Souček really helped with that. And see, this is one of the big things that I've been disappointed about so far when it comes to Lopetegui's start of the season, because you can put in poor performances, and things cannot work. But you can choose, and you can try your hardest, but things not quite click. But you can choose how much intensity you put into a performance, and we haven't been seeing that kind of intensity enough for me. That's what I've been disappointed with, and we need players who are willing to just run their socks off, which is kind of why I kind of wonder if James Ward-Prowse would have been a player to keep on, because he was the kind of player that would just run his socks off. Alvarez is a player that will just go and run his socks off. Maybe there was a couple of youth players who could have done a job. George Earthy, Freddie Potts, possibly. I mean, they're out on loan at the moment. Thankfully, they seem to be doing okay out on loan, and hopefully they are players for next season. But yeah, it's a lack of intensity at the moment, and that's one of the things that Lopetegui did speak about. He wants us to play with intensity. So that's the one thing I've been most disappointed about, because that's the one thing you can choose to do every single game. Play with intensity. You can choose to do that. If everything else you're trying is not working out, at least you're giving it a go. And we have not been seeing that enough. We have been seeing it in the odd game here or there, but not enough for me. Our transfers take weeks back and forth with everyone knowing. I think everyone's does. We just see it more because it's West Ham. I was having a chat with when I had a chat with a Palace fan. I asked him, it's like, when it comes to your transfers, is it like everything? It's like, oh yeah, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You know everything that's going on. News is being reported, but because we only kind of listen to West Ham news, we think it's all West Ham, but it's not. Every club Every club does. It happens with every club. It really does. Colin, how are you doing? Good evening, Alex. Sorry, late joining. Had to do some care duties for my friend, who I'm a full-time living carer for my friend who suffers from dementia. No, sorry to hear that, mate. I understand what you say, but sorry, I disagree. No, it's fine. Like you're totally entitled to disagree with what I say. I'm not on here to tell you what to think. You know, if you disagree with me, that's fine. I just ask. Yeah, I mean, that's the right way to ask. You get some people who come in here and say, "You're an idiot. Piss off. You're wrong." Instead of saying, "Do you know what? I respect you, but I don't think about it." I think that's the right way to come about it. Randy, Damien, I will give Tim the chance to rectify the striker position, but midfield also needs to address it, as well as left back, first choice goalkeeper, 2 box. See, there's a lot there, isn't there? You give Tim a chance to rectify the striker position. Yeah, I mean, it's such an awkward position. We're cursed when it comes to strikers. I just don't believe that. I don't know if we're cursed or if Sullivan and Brady are the cursed, because it's kind of been ever since they've come in, we've been cursed with not being able to get a consistent, brilliant striker. Yeah, before that it wasn't fantastic, but I can think back to days when we had players like Tony Cotti and like John Haas and Paul Gibson who were decent. You know, Paolo Canio, Dean Ashton. Well, we got really unlucky with him, obviously, but you know, it's ever since they've come in. So maybe they're the curse. Yeah, maybe they're the curse with the striker. Midfield does need addressing. Left back, yeah, possibly. I'm not overly disappointed with what Everton's done so far this season. First choice goalkeeper. Box to box midfielder. We've got to give the midfielders we've got a chance. I want to see more of Salah, because he is a player who actually he does have a little bit of pace. He does have a little bit of creativity to him. So I'd like to see him given a little bit more of a go. I'd like to see Alvarez in there as well. Do we throw Irving in? I still think he's an unknown, but he strikes me as the kind of player that is gonna, you know, play with some intensity. He does kind of strike me as that. David, for was actually disaster signing. That was Tim. We're doomed by one. I still think that once Falkirk comes back from injury, let's see what happens then. And let's hope that he comes back from injury soon. If he's out for too long, we're screwed. But I'm still not giving up hope on Falkirk. Yeah, not yet. I want to see him back from injury. Damien, we're not in a position to even attract the caliber of players to take us forward at the moment. Well, no, but I still think we've done fairly decent in the summer. I think Wan-Bissaka is a good signing. I think Todibo, I think he's a really good signing. Yeah, he did not have the greatest game against Tottenham in the second half. I thought the first half he looked decent. Looks okay, but yeah, he was getting turned way too easily by Solanke. He had real trouble with Solanke, but sometimes like defenders have an off game. Well, maybe put in 2 decent performances before that. So I still think that he is a decent signing. Yeah, there are some other question marks about some of the other players that we have signed. I still think Somerville's good, this is one of the positives of Gooders getting suspended. Somerville's going to be given a chance, and hopefully he grabs it with both hands and really impresses, because that he is a good player. I want to see more of him. Yep. Yeah, every Christmas. With a shit hot squad, barring a class striker, there are no excuses for Luffy crap starting 11 game after game. Yes. Underperforming players do play a part in that as well. Players not doing the job that they need to be doing, but if they're not doing what they need to be doing, why do they consistently start? This is the argument I have. I don't know. We will see. We will see. Cost the club more to finish bottom in the long run than paying compensation to get rid and bringing out the right coach. However, we need to stay positive and hope the season pick up. Yes, we do, Mark. I do not think we're going to be in a relegation battle. I do not think we're getting relegated. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. We're not going to be there. Right? Things will pick up. We will pick up results. We will move up the league. It may not be the most wonderful season where we're challenging for those European spots like we would love to. But I don't think we're going to be in any danger either. I really don't. Truly believe the fix and hopefully we'll be allowed to sell insurance. Got it. Well, Alex, I would if things were not working out in the football, but like the manager. Fair enough. I'm going back on this. I don't know. The thing is with these lives, some people like come behind and then they comment a little bit later. So I never know what comment is coming in regards to what I've been saying. And Moyes in the club puts us in the situation that we're in for the massive rebuild, but not at the point of our coach doesn't help either. Yeah, that makes sense. That is part of it. Can be as ambitious as you want. It's one thing hoping for more, it's another achieving it. No, that's one of the first things I've agreed with you tonight, Damien. Right, anyway. Colin, you've supported this great club for 57 years now, and I've always thought we are a sleeping giant. Just needs the right people around it to top form and to be massive. Yeah, we are a sleeping giant. I totally agree with that. And I think we have got ourselves into a position now where I think we really do have that ability to push on to that next level. Really push on to that next level. We have that. We have the infrastructure. We have the money. We have the potential. But we are let down by certain people at the club. For some reason, just don't want to take those risks that you need to take to, to take that step up. You need to take risks. You need to take risks. Happy Amaret, how you doing? God, you joined late tonight, didn't you? 10:30. Been busy there. Been busy. Really, Damien? Really? God, it's depressing to see. All right. Just because Loppy has been poor so far doesn't mean in any way that we want Moyes back. Totally agree with that comment. Rhoda was worse than Loppy. No, I can second that. I'll say we've had a few from Grant. Pellegrini. I mean, you can use Pellegrini as a really good example. He was a manager that we all thought would be a great appointment for West Ham United. Great pedigree, but it just didn't work out. It's another great example of you can get in a manager that you think is right, and he could fail miserably. And that's what happens with Pellegrini. And I actually think that we paid a fair amount for him. I think we splashed the cash on him. So maybe Sullivan has been scarred by that whole by that whole thing. Maybe. A lot of conversations going on in the comments tonight. It's all good in there. So let's have a quick chat about the game on the game on Saturday. Sunday against Manchester United. They are a beatable team this season. They were a beatable team last season, and we beat them last season. But they are still a beatable team this season. Obviously, they won at the weekend, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to turn up at another stage. And the question is will we be able to turn up? And is Lopetegui going to change things? Is he going to take a different approach to this game? Or is he going to stick with the same team again, frustrate us all, but then suddenly this team, it just works again. It's possible. I don't know. I think Alvarez needs to come back in. Alvarez needs to come back in for Rodriguez, personally. Some of it obviously will come in for Kudus, I believe. He'll go on that left-hand side. Antonio will probably still keep his place unless he decides he wants to go with Ings. Apart from that, I don't think we'll see any change. You'll probably see Soucek in there still. You'll probably still see Bagatol, and I don't think the back line will change. You know, that back line, it keeps on working together. The more they work together, that back line, the better they will become. The better they'll get to understand. And they would have learned a lot from that second half performance against Tottenham. You know, they would have learned a lot of the things not to do, things to be aware of. You know, taking positions. Right? There was a good lesson for the defence. You know, it was an embarrassing lesson for them to undertake, but they would have learned stuff, hopefully, from it, and they will use that experience to try and improve as a back four. So you've got to stick with that same back four. But yes, that midfield area. Do you drop Paquetá? This is a problem. Like, if you drop Paquetá, who do you bring in? Especially as there's no Kudus now. Do you bring in Sola? Do you bring in Sola instead? I don't think I'll be against it. I don't think I would be against it, but I just can't see him dropping Paquetá. I just can't. I can't. You were saying football would be a better signing, and do you still feel that way? We got to sign. We weren't signing Duran. Get over it. God's sake. You're obsessed. And I might have said Fulkrug would be a better signing than Duran. I get things wrong sometimes. Who doesn't? So you just said something wrong there. We won't get Duran. We were never getting Duran. Stop going on about Duran. And I don't really believe we would have seen a Duran Villa have this season. It would have been another striker with no service striker in the squad. We always have problems with strikers. Always have, like, Duran in that Aston Villa team that he's playing well is going to look like a world beater. Duran coming into our side that's struggling at the moment, we may be looking at him and thinking, God, we just paid 45 million for this guy. Fucking useless. This is why stop going on about it. Just stop going on about it. It's in the past. We were never getting him. 8 points, 8 games with Lopetegui. This way we'll have 40 points to stay up. No change in head coach. He's here for the whole season minimum. You reckon he's going to be here for the whole season, Daniel? I think that is probably the aim at the moment, to keep him for the whole season, but they'll see how it goes. Yeah, 40 points should keep us up. Wasn't enough to keep us up the last time we went down. 42 points wasn't enough to keep us up the last time. We'll do better than 40 points. We'll do better than 40 points. We will. And we will be picking up, I reckon we'll pick up more than 8 points in our next 8 games. And if we pick up more than 8 points in our next 8 games, that's an improvement. And I still think that we need to kind of give that start of the season a little bit of perspective. You know, now I know that if you look at the fixtures that we've had this season compared to last season, you know, Chelsea came last season, we won. They came this season, we lost. We went to Tottenham last season and won. We went there this season and lost. Went to Liverpool last season, lost and lost. Went to Fulham last season, lost 5-0, drew 1-0. Went to Palace last season, lost 5-2, won 2-0. Went to Brentford last season, lost 3-2, drew 1-0. Villa, we got a 2-2 draw, we lost 2-1. You know, there are comparisons. There are comparisons to last season and to this season. But this is the way I look at it. The only teams that have been able to beat us so far this season are Big Six teams and Tottenham. It's a fact. It's a fact. No team outside of the Big Six have been able to beat us so far this season. And considering we played what? Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, Villa. Big games. Next 8 games, we're going to be playing some teams who are not all up there. I think the only big ones are Man United and Arsenal. So it's an easier next 8 games than our first 8 games. Let's see how we do. Let's see how we do. You disagree with me because you're silly. You told me Falk would be a better signing than Duran. You're still hanging on to the hope he will be. There's still a chance he could be. I'm not hanging on to the hope that he will be. I just never. We were never getting Duran. Look, when we get a new striker in, whether he may have come in Falkirk and scored the same amount of goals as Duran, less than Duran, more than Duran. At that time, I had no idea, and I decided to be optimistic about it. Nothing wrong with being optimistic. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Things happen. At least I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. Unlike some people. Despite being 20 and scored lots of their goals in turn and save. Oh my god. Your sources are telling you won't see Falkirk come back to the new year. I don't think it's going to be that long. I think it won't be that long. I hope it's not that long. He's not going to be out for that long. If he is out for that long, that was a waste of money. 100%. It's not 100% a waste of money right now. It's just, I don't know. And it wasn't as much money as has been reported as well. I saw someone post it out the other day. West Ham spending 28 million on Falkirk is a terrible deal. We didn't spend 28 million on Falkirk. We spent 18 million on Falkirk plus 4.5 million Hazard, which totals 22 million in total, which is nowhere close to the 28 million, which they said 28 million plus add-ons is what we spent on Falkirk, which we didn't. We did not spend that much on Falkirk. If you see that, that's bullcrap. Still, though, if he's injured for the whole season, it's just typical West Ham, isn't it? Absolutely typical West Ham. Buy striker, gets injured. You can't write it. Can't write it. Absolutely typical. Oh, what's going on? Oh, what's going on? Sorry. Oh, sorry, I was just checking the West Ham chat. You're grasping Falkirk, I know. We're going to try and keep a hope. I think I'm with you there, Happy. I'm grasping as well. We're allowed to. Alex, if Lopetegui does not get the results required and set up tactics and best 11 correct, then he will only have himself to blame for his dismissal. Yeah, he would. Of course he would. There's no one else to blame for, the manager not making it work. There's no one else to blame. It's only his fault. Did I say otherwise? Did I say it wouldn't be his fault? I don't think I said that. Something tells me you're very good at falling out with people. No, we couldn't. Is this like right? That is an hour, so I've got to call it a night. It's all good fun. It's all good fun. It's all good fun. One day, it'll just be all positive talk, won't it? It will be. It'll be all positive talk, and hopefully, it happens within the next, few weeks or so, and things will start looking up. May not. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. And sorry, can I just say what? We were never getting Duran. Just forget about it. It was never happening. It was never happening. No, it wouldn't have. No, it wouldn't have. It would not have. They were never going to sell him before they played us. That was never going to happen, and they never would have let him go for anything under 55, 60 million. They did not want to sell him. They did not want to sell him. It was never going to happen. You want to keep believing that, you believe that, but we were never getting Duran. You're living in dreamland, I'm afraid, there, mate. Dreamland. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night now. It's been a good chat. Thank you very much. I might go on live on the West Ham Network Extra channel. So if you're not following the West Ham Network Extra channel, please go and give it a follow. That's where I post all my YouTube content, and I do try and do at least one live over there every single week as well. So yeah, educate yourself, please, Damien. Please. Anyway, right, I'm gonna go. Thank you very much for your time tonight. Have a good evening, and I shall be back next week. Have a good night, all. Come on, you irons.